So the critique of the middle of the road position, the Michael Pollan position or the Joel Salatin position, is that it's going to cost more, it's not scalable, and it ends up with us using more resources and thereby allowing maybe the global poor to suffer even more than they do. That's the main.
That's
Yeah.
part of my argument and a recognition as we try to get these countries to a developed stage that they will be drawing on these same resources, and we have more people. And one of the challenges in agriculture is, do we or do we not have enough food for the people of the world today? It can be argued. Do we have the right food? Is it in the right places? Some of it's distribution. Some of it is it what people will eat? But at best, we're going to be 9.5 billion, excuse me, billion people. And that means more housing, more roads, more schools, more houses of worship, etc. And that land often comes from what is agricultural land. And so we have more people to feed with less resources to actually do it, because water will also become more dear as we have to deal with these things. And so we need to use science and technology to do these things and to try and go organic or local or natural or whatever you want. Is like tying your hands behind your back and saying, now solve the problem, without all the resources that you can do to solve it. And that, to me, in the end, becomes unacceptable and becomes very self-centered anthropomorphism of the worst kind, which is appealing to me at the expense of others.
So I feel like I can hear some of our students screaming at the screen and saying, what does he mean by efficiency? How is he measuring efficiency? Isn't the industry producing the studies that are telling him that it's more efficient? And most importantly, isn't he ignoring all of what economists will call an externality? These externalities don't get kind of figured in when we talk about efficiency, especially in a big industrial system. And they leave out the fact that there's, runoff from these pig farms that's going into the Mississippi River and causing huge dead zones in the Gulf of Mexico. Or there's all kinds of issues regarding workers, migrant workers, local workers who are poorly treated, that are not part of the calculation when we think about efficiency. So what do you say about those kinds of things?
First of all, those externalities exist in many forms of things we do in this world, businesses, etc. They are real, and they need to be addressed. Again, I kept saying, factory farming needs to address these issues. I mean, to me, the waste of manure is twofold. One is, as it's currently done, it is too often a pollutant, yet it's a tremendous resource. From anywhere from how are you going to fertilize organic plots for those who want to spend all that extra money? It is the fertilizer. It can be used for biogas, and it's beginning to be used as a resource for other uses. It's a tremendous resource. I jokingly, and it's probably still going to be a joke for many years, say someday we will raise pigs and cows for their manure and take the meat and the milk as a byproduct. So there's no excuse for that. The over-fertilization, the overuse of pesticides. I'm not opposed to pesticide. It's the overuse. Farmers did grow up in a period where these resources were relatively cheap compared to other resources that they needed, and they did not stop to think about the consequences. We clearly need to go to much more precision agriculture in terms of both water usage, which is going to be more and more an issue, pesticide usage, and all the pesticides, herbicides, all those things, which is actually the plant side of the thing.
But the plants are feeding the animals.
The plants and parts are feeding the animals. We've got to do a better job of using the entire plant properly. But some of the modern techniques are allowing us to go to no-till and deal with the questions of erosion. The other piece, again, that people need to focus on is a third of our agricultural land is pasture. It's grass. Grass is not something we generally harvest. When we do some hay and clover and alfalfa, but those are raised. But the natural grass that is in there and even some of the land within our wooded areas, which are extremely important environmentally, have a great deal of nutrient. The only people who can process that nutrient are ruminants. On the other hand, our pigs and chickens are a tremendous ability to process the byproducts of the food industry. So again, all those people eating rice and having wheat and all of that, there's an awful lot of byproduct there. And all of that today already is going into feeding animals. Again, one of the places where I, again, agree with some of the critics is when you talk about raising corn specifically to finish cattle.
Right.
Maybe that isn't a good practice. But when we finish cattle on rice hulls and wheat chaff and orange pomace, all that orange juice that we get from Florida, the rest of the orange is going to cattle feed. And if we can finish the animals to the same high quality using all these byproducts, we are then more sustainable. Without the animals, the vegan world would be terribly unsustainable.